So I just finished my first week of work at my firm, and it went exactly how I was expecting, I guess. A lot of training involved, but I'll get to that. Let me start at the beginning. So I was supposed to report by 9 a.m. on the Monday that I was supposed to start, and me being nervous for it being my first day, I decided to, go in a little bit early, although I realized that I probably got in a little bit too early because there was literally nobody there waiting for me. It was just me, and I was sitting there for about like 15 minutes. Obviously, the people for like reception were there, and they greeted me, but the person that was supposed to meet me and take me to like my office wasn't there, but it was all right. I would prefer to be early than late. So I showed up, and eventually everybody else showed up, and they sent me to my office. I kind of already knew this, that I was going to get my own office, but it was still a nice surprise because I know there are some offices out there that don't have enough space to give all new associates offices. But yeah, after that, it was mostly training. The first types of training that I was doing was mostly tech stuff. I guess I wouldn't even really call it training. It was more of just setting everything up for me to be able to use, like my computer, all the passwords, all the usernames that I needed for the job. That took about a couple hours. Eventually, after that, I was able to start doing some actual training where they did like an overview of the different softwares and applications that we were going to use within the firm, and to try to get familiar with them because I'll be using them repeatedly throughout my career because it involves, like, that's the things I need to use for all the projects. And then right before lunchtime, I was met by one of like the office managers to basically do the I-9 identification thing where I have to like show that I'm able to work in the U.S. So I did that. Went to lunch with my mentor. So they assigned me an associate mentor, and it was great because it was actually somebody that I already knew from last summer, and we just talked. I had actually already met with him a week prior to be able to talk about what I can do to prepare myself for the upcoming week with regarding like starting the job. So yeah, because I met with him a week before, I didn't really have any more questions, but we were still able to have a nice lunch, and I guess we got to know each other a lot more. And then after that, I went back into the office and did a lot more training, and that was pretty much my first day. Then my second day, I actually was traveling to Washington, D.C. because my firm was taking me out there for their boot camp, that's what they called it, where they would basically just train me. I should have probably mentioned this, but I'm going into the transactional field, specifically the finance and bankruptcy. So they did like a transactional boot camp where they can go do like a very broad overview of like what the transactional world is about, and some of the projects that we'll be working, not just as like junior associates, but like they really gave me a pretty nice overview. It just gave a more complete picture of like, okay, so I'm going to be contributing to this, but this is the overall picture of like what it actually looks like when the deal is done. That way I'm not going to be completely lost when they give me a project and I'm like, okay, but where does this fit in? And I'm really glad it did this, and I think it was very helpful. And I told, the people that organized everything that it was very helpful because I honestly did not know exactly like what I'm going to be doing. Like I have a basic idea of what finance and bankruptcy is, but just their pure definition. And I had some projects that I did last summer that gave me an idea of what exactly I would be doing, but I still did not know like where I would fit in the whole equation. But the boot camp gave me a more clear idea of how exactly I'm going to be contributing to the practice group. So I'm very happy about that. That was the one thing that I was scared of the most, or because I just simply did not know. And honestly, I was just a bit nervous because like they were going to give me a project and I had no idea about anything, and I just didn't want that to be the case. So I'm glad they gave me at least an idea of what I would be doing and some understanding where I won't be completely lost. Obviously, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm definitely going to be asking a lot of questions, but I at least now have an understanding of like what questions I should be asking. But yeah, that boot camp was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday was literally just traveling for me. I got there at DC around like 5-ish, I think. Checked into my hotel, and then I explored a little bit, but I didn't have too much time to like explore everything. Just walked around a couple blocks and then grabbed something to eat. And then Wednesday morning, I did more training. This one was in person. It had to do with just like, again, tech in general. And then after that, it was when the boot camp started. And I'm not going to go into specifics about exactly each session, but like again, it's basically what I just said. It was an overview about like what transactional work we'll be doing, and then there were some sessions where they were like specific to certain practice groups, and it was also a great opportunity for me to meet other people from other offices that were new associates as well, and also get to see some of the leadership involved in these different practice groups as well. So overall, I definitely think the boot camp was worth it. It was great. And actually, they told us this later, but this is the first year that they're doing it this way. I'm glad that I didn't start like a year prior and not have this, because I definitely think it helped a lot with my nerves. And I basically did that Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, like a half day. And then after that, I just traveled back. And that was pretty much my first week of work. A lot of training. I didn't have any projects assigned to me yet, because I was basically doing that boot camp and being in that office for 8 hours straight. So it made sense that I wouldn't get any projects assigned yet, and I'm glad that they told, all the partners and the associates in my practice group that we were going to be busy. That way they wouldn't assign us something. Now that we're going into week 2, I still have some training scheduled, but my week seems to be a lot more flexible, so I would not be surprised that I'm going to be getting my first project soon, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I want to have that experience to be able to start moving up in my career. And yeah, I'm looking forward to week 2 and potentially my first project. And I will try to keep updating you with these videos, because I just think it's helpful to have a more in-depth perspective of what exactly I'm doing, or an attorney does on a day-to-day. And I will try to share as much as I can, to the extent that I can, about my experience and how things are going and my progression, because I wish I had this when I was an undergrad, or even in law school, when I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do and what practice area I wanted to practice in. But yeah, if you find these videos helpful, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll continue making these videos. Bye!